Well, welcome to Modeling Time with me, Brian Banna. And it's time I put up another video or started a new project. Actually, this project has already been started, but only to the point where I can start the video. So I have been building models. I just finished 3 RS1s for a new railroad that I'm working on. And so this project is the next 3 locomotives. This railroad has 12 locomotives, and I'm not going to really talk about the railroad itself, but more or less building the locomotives. Now, I don't know if this is going to be of much interest to many of you. These models are pretty much out of the box. There's not much I had to do to the frames. I'll go over that in a minute. There's very, very little that I did to the frames. I did have to wait for some 3D printed parts to come in before I could start this video as well, and that had to do with getting some holes drilled in the frame and stuff like that. So, the project at hand is going to be 2 Kato RS2s and 1 Kato RSC2. The shells are the same. The only difference is basically the RSC has 6-axle, is a 6-axle locomotive. So let me get the camera set up over here, and I'll go over what I've done to the frame and what I plan on doing and some things that need to be done. So in just a second, we'll get that started. All right, well, this is a Kato RS2 frame. It's been stripped, and I've got everything drilled in it and tapped that I needed to drill and tap, and anything cut that I needed to cut. So let me quickly go over what this is. I don't want this video to drag on too long. This is a very basic video. So, or a very basic model build. The RS2s, the only real detailing that will go on them is I might, or I will, add a nice looking horn. And because I don't know if these horns, I don't even know if there's horns in here. No, no horns in there. So basically I'll be putting on some aftermarket horns like Details West, probably Katy brake wheel, and Detail Associates Sinclair antenna. So let me go over what was going on with this. Excuse me. So right now the trucks are completely disassembled. They've been cleaned. They're ready for the gear towers, the wheel sets, the pickup strips, and the side frames are ready for grit blasting and painting. Now this model is like what they did with the SD40-2, where they kind of did the N-scale thing, where they had this strip where the motor had basically come down, and these tabs, actually there's different tabs. I actually took it all apart. So the tabs, connected to these copper strips, and that's how it delivered the power to the motor. Well, I don't want to use that, so I took that out of the 3 frames. See, I've got the 3 here. 1, 2, 3. And those will probably just go into either storage or into the trash because I don't really see any need to keep them. So let me put those aside. So anyway, so what I've done is now I have drilled holes through the frame here, 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 and here. Now the size of the hole really doesn't matter, other than it allows the wires to pass through them freely without dragging on anything. After I've drilled the holes, I then chamfered both that sides. So I've chamfered this side and I've chamfered the bottom side. It's very important to chamfer the bottom side so you don't have a sharp edge that might cut into this shielding on the wire. The next thing I did is I cut a channel into the frame weights here, here, and here, and here. That way the wires can come up, they can pass through the channel, and the weight sits, let me see, this is the back, so this is the rear weight, so the weight can sit right there, and the wire can go underneath it, and on the front, the weight can sit there, and the wires can go underneath it. Now, you'll notice that I also drilled holes here, here. These are drilled and tapped. Same for here and here. And you'll see something right up here. So I'm going to be losing these weights, which I really don't want to do, but there's no getting around it. If you want to put sound in a lot of these older models, you're going to have to sacrifice weight, and these have to be sacrificed. The two of these together is approximately 3 ounces. So say goodbye to 3 ounces, which we don't like losing weight. But the thing that I like about Kato models, I think this goes in this way, I'm not sure. The thing I like about Kato models is their frames are pretty robust. They have good weight to them, and their motors add a good amount of weight to them too. So when I put the speaker system and the Keep Alive system back in, I'm going to get back approximately 1/4 to 1/2 an ounce. So I'm losing at the most 2 3/4 ounces, at the least 2 1/2 ounces. So we'll get a tiny bit of that back, but there's nothing you can do. You can either run no sound and have the weights in there, or you can run sound and have no weights. So let me show you what I've done here. So take that out. So we've gone through these holes, we've gone through these holes and that. And the last thing I did was I moved the coupler pocket inboard and re-drilled the hole and tapped it so that the coupler head doesn't stick out so far. I like my couplers to be pulled in to look a little bit more prototypical. So that takes care of the frame. So the frame's done. So let me go over my speaker enclosure and all that stuff. So what I was going to do is design the speaker enclosure out of brass to hopefully add weight back into it. But the cost was so prohibitive. For 3 locomotives, it was going to be over $100 just for the 3D printed brass. So I said, screw that. I'll live with the losing some of the weight. Because these really, like I said, the Kato frames are pretty robust. And when you put everything back together, I think they'll be okay. I think they'll be actually pretty comparable to what you're getting from the manufacturers with sound in them today, except for maybe like scale trains, because they build the whole interior of the shell into a solid block of metal and then carve out the areas that they need their motor to be and where the boards will be and the speakers will be. So they do a pretty good job of weighting down their locomotives. I got to give them credit for that. They have engineered that very nicely. But with older locomotives, we don't have that ability to do that. Especially with these RS2s, there's not a whole lot of space in there for adding weight back in and such. So we just have to make the compromise. You have to make the compromise and the decision on what you want out of your model. So what I've done here is I've got this weight, or this piece. It's the exact same, pretty much the exact same size as this, except I didn't put this wing on the back. And now instead of screwing up into the shell, because there's a screw that holds this weight, I've cut it out of that one. There's a thing that holds this weight that you can screw into. I don't know if you can see it here. There it is. It's right there. And so the weight gets attached inside the shell. Well, I didn't want to do that. I want everything on the frame, except, of course, the lights. So I designed this, so you got a speaker that goes in here, and there's a big cavity there, and you got a speaker that goes in here, and there's a big cavity, and it's separated by 60 thousandths wall between them. So that will screw right down in there. And the speakers will go like that. So they're flush with the side of the enclosure, and so there'll be a speaker here, and there'll be a speaker over here. So I got 2 speakers in there. The height of this is the exact same height as the weight, so it'll fit properly. And when I designed these, this is what they look like. Actually, these were all connected together. So there was 1, 2, 4 of these, plus the Keep Alive bracket, and they were all connected together, so I cut them apart. But this is basically what they look like when they come out printer, but I forgot to cut this notch in the front for the shell. The shell has the sill unit has this piece right here, and it fits into that cavity. So I had to cut that on the mill. The other thing that I did wrong is on the Keep Alive bracket, I copied this before I did the speaker cutouts and all that, and this was just a block. I copied this to the front, so the width was too wide. The width of the front or rear, whichever way you want to call it, is much narrower. If you can look and see that, it's much narrower than the long hood. The short hood is much narrower. So I had enough meat in the sides of this piece that I was able to just mill it. And again, I had to mill the notch in the face, in the front of it. So I'll have to go back and redesign or make an edit to my design to add those notches and to narrow this one up more. So the way this one works real good. I was thinking I was going to have to snap it down in, because if you look at it, let me zoom in a little bit here. If you look at it, it comes around, and then it comes a little bit past center, so it has like where it can lock around the circular part of the capacitor. Well, I went to push it in, and like, yeah, it'll go in, but I was thinking, you know what? I can just slide that right in, just like that, and it's very snug. So to get it out, you actually need to like take a screwdriver and get it between the bracket and the Keep Alive or the power pack, and then wedge it out. So it holds in there real nice. So that'll screw in right there. This is the same height as, I'm sorry, there we go. This bracket is the same height as this. So everything fits properly. Now you'll notice I have it cut back here. That's to give room for when I use the lights. Where did I put all that? So here we go. So these are the lights, and they basically went in to, and let me zoom out so you can see what I'm working on. So basically they went into the brackets or into the weights like that. So what I'm going to do is I am going to cut these off, and then I'm going to stick one of these. I'm going to drill it out, and I'm going to stick one of these in there. And once I put it all together, that little cutout area is enough room for the LED and this clear lens to sit right back there, and then the LED wire leads can just be bent to the side or down or whatever. And the top of this has a channel cut in it so that the wires can just come right through. And it's the same for the back. So I did that on my RS1s as far as cutting the lens, drilling out the lens, and then gluing an LED, this type of LED right into it. And it works out really, really well. I liked it. I like the color and the brightness and all that stuff. So that works out really well. Anyway, so that's where I'm at right now. And now I can start actually building the model. So the first thing I'm going to do after this video is I'm going to get the trucks grit blasted and painted and all reassembled. I got to get the fuel tank grit blasted and painted, and I got to get this frame painted. This frame has been grit blasted. All three of the frames have been grit blasted, so they're ready for paint. Then I can reassemble the entire frame, have the trucks all reassembled. I can put the frame together and get the motor in, get the sound system in, get all that done, and then I can go work on the sill units and hoods. And there's not a whole lot to do to the sill units and hoods. I'll probably put some MU hoses in here. I'm not going to go crazy with the detail work. I'll pretty much be using what Kato gave with this model and just clean it all up, put it together, you know, paint it, and it'll go back together. So that's the process that I'll be working on. I'm not going to be cutting out these grills and doing things like that. I don't think I'll be putting wire grab irons in. I might. I have some, was it Bowser or Cal-Scale grab irons that might work here. I do like wire over the Delrin that the Kato puts into their kits, but if it doesn't work out, no big deal. I'll just clean up the Delrin ones because I know they have a little bit of a parting line on them and stuff, so I'll clean those up, and I think it's a lot of work to clean those up. That's why I would probably go with wire if I can get, you know, the wire. I don't really want to bend my own for these because they're angular or curved a little bit and stuff. And the Bowser ones or Cal-Scale ones might work just fine for that. So that's the task at hand. There was one other thing I wanted to talk about, but my dog's barking and it caused my brain to skip. And I couldn't remember what it was that I wanted to talk about. But anyway, oh, yes, now I remember. Okay, now, when I put these grooves in here, if you look at, see, just put this motor in here. Get this motor stuck in here properly. There we go. Okay, if you look at where these grooves go, let me zoom in a little bit. There we go. Okay, let's get this in focus. Here we go. If you look at where these grooves go, do you see how close it goes to this flywheel here? So what's going to happen? Let's see, where's the front? This is a short hood end. Okay, so if you look at this, so this is going to go here. Actually, let me get one that I have all screwed together. Here we go. So this is going to be in here. Okay, so this is here, and the Keep Alive is here. And this is the type, this is a bad board, but I use it for size and everything. But I'll be using a Loke Sound 5 board like this. So this board, I'm going to have to cut these tabs off so it's all flat here, and then I'll put some silicone sealer and glue this down to here, like so. The short head end is going to be the front. That's what it is on all my stuff here. So that'll be designated front. So this is the front headlight here and the rear headlight or rear light here. So this has to actually go all the way up against the back of the speaker enclosure. And the wires will come in and then they'll go straight up. So there's no interference with the flywheel. That one's fine. Where it comes in that I'm kind of worried about is with the front. If you'll notice this right here, the board, you see this little outcropping right here? Let me pull this back. This little outcropping right here. The board, this portion of the board fits right up to the inside front up here. And the wires will be going right underneath here. And you see this little hump right here? That is a flywheel clearance. Well, when the wires come across, so they're going to be held down and they need to come up to here. So the wires are going to come across. I keep getting off of camera here. So the wires are going to be coming across and they're going to be very close to where the flywheel steps out. So what I think I'm going to have to do, and it's probably what I will do, is I'll pull this flywheel off and I'll turn it down so that's even with this narrower portion. That'll give a lot more clearance for the wires so I don't have to worry about it rubbing up against the flywheel while it's spinning. So I could either do that or I could find some way to put a protective shield between the wire and the flywheel, but I don't see how I'm going to be able to do that. So I am not going to actually worry too much about that.
Yeah. Not going to worry too much about that. I'm just going to turn the flywheel down. And so it's the same diameter as the smaller portion. And that way the wire will come up and it'll come underneath this portion here. And then go right up to the track leads. I want to hardwire it. I don't want to use these things to bring the power to the motor or to the board. So that's what I'll have to do there. So I'll put that in the lathe and I'll turn that down. I have a puller that I can pull that out. And then what I'll do before I pull this off is I'll measure the distance between the motor and the flywheel and make a block that'll go in there. So when I press this flywheel back on, it's in the same position as it is now in relationship to the motor. So that's what I've got going. And so once I'm done making this video, I will get the trucks all taken care of. I'll get the fuel tank taken care of, and I'll get the frame all done. Then I'll come back and show you all that, and then we'll build all of this stuff and get the board in. We'll get all the sound and everything going on there. I don't do the lights until the very end because those go into the shell and such. So that's what is going on with this video. Now let me show you what the railroad I'm working on. It is a Proto Freelance. It's my newest one, and I like this one the best of all of them. So there's the RS1. I've got 3 of these done. Let me zoom in on that, and then I'll pick it up and get a closer look at it. Okay, let's see. So that's the railroad I'm working on. And I've got, like I said, I've got 3 of these done. The railroad has 12 locomotives. It'll have the 3 RS1s, have 2 RS2s, 1 RSC2, 2 RSD12s, and 4 NW2s. So I'll get these 3 done. That'll make 6 of the 12. And then I'll work on the RSD12s, and the last 4 will be the NW2s. Well, that gets the kickoff done for this project and a bit of information on what I'm going to be doing. So I know that, or like I mentioned in the beginning, I don't know how many people are going to be interested in watching this video. It's not about, fine scale detailing and all the fine stuff and prototype modeling stuff. But it is an out-of-the-box model, and I think it'll be enjoyable just to get things done. I spend so much time working on stuff that it takes me forever to enjoy it. I just want to get a set of, or a railroad done that I can enjoy, and then everything else is just kind of like icing on the cake. I can just pull stuff off the shelf and work on it. I am working on a super duper fine scale build. This is the start of it. It'll be an SD40. I've got the frame cut and stuff like that. This is another project I'll be starting probably sometime this year, but I just wanted to do a little bit of experimenting on it before I really bring it to light on video. So in the next video, you should see the trucks all done, the frame done, and the motor and soundboard and speakers in and all that kind of stuff. So I hope you'll follow along with me and maybe get something out of it for those that really don't want to do all the detail work and just want to say, what can I do to make my models look better, just out of the box. So maybe this video will be for those people. So anyways, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll catch you in the next video.